So, this happened about a year ago. It was final season, and I was in the middle of one of those marathon study sessions. You know the kind, right? Where you're so tired the coffee doesn't even work anymore, and the words on the page just start swimming.
Seriously, think about it for a second. We've all done it, pushed it to the last minute in a big, empty school building after everyone else is cleared out. But have you ever stayed so late that things just started to feel a little off?
So, the school was actually being pretty cool about it, keeping the library open all the way till midnight. And for me, that was perfect. I don't live too far away, but the library, it had that perfect deep quiet you just can't get at home. It was my go-to spot. I was just so locked in, completely lost in my notes, that I totally lost track of all time. When I finally looked up at the clock, it was already 10 p.m. And I've got to tell you, I'd never stayed that late before. My usual cutoff is around 8.
And at 10, the whole vibe was different. See, at 8, there were still a few people milling about, but at 10, it was like a whole other world. There was just this absolute heavy silence.
I probably had, I don't know, 15 minutes of work left, and I figured, okay, I'll just power through. I put my head down, and that's when a sound just sliced right through that quiet. It was this weird rhythmic noise, the sound of somebody limping. And that was it. I was done. I didn't even think about it, didn't try to peek or figure it out. My gut just screamed go, so I slammed my books into my bag and just bolted out of there. So I burst out of the library into that long, echoing hallway that leads to the main doors. I was just focused on getting out, but then I saw her, a shape, a person, just standing at the very end of the hall, right by the exit. I had no clue who it could be, but the closer I got, this, deep, cold feeling started creeping up my spine. It took everything I had, but I finally managed to call out. And the second the words were out of my mouth, poof. She was just gone. 1 second she was there, the next, nothing. I kind of gasped, let out this breath I didn't even know I was holding, and pushed my way out the front doors. But that little bit of relief I felt, it vanished instantly. Because when I stepped outside, I knew something was seriously wrong. That street is never empty, not even this late. But that night, it was dead silent, eerily, completely empty. Okay, so now I'm starting to panic. I'm just power walking, staring at my feet, when this long shadow just stretches out on the pavement right towards me. And here's the crazy part. There was nobody there, nobody around me to be casting it. My heart just stopped. I very slowly lifted my head, and it was her, the woman from the hallway. And she wasn't at the end of the street. No, she was right there, walking just a few feet in front of me. This time, I was close enough to see the details. Her clothes were all ragged and filthy. Her hands and her feet, they looked twisted, like they were bent the wrong way. She was really struggling to walk, and her hair was just this wild, tangled mess. I just froze solid. Every single cell in my body was screaming, "Do not move. Do not get any closer." I couldn't even bring myself to try and walk around her. I was just stuck. And then she slowly turned and looked right at me. And she asked me the single most bizarre, bone-chilling question I have ever been asked in my entire life. My brain just shut down. It was like a blue screen. What do you say to that? How are you even supposed to process a question like that in a moment like this? I didn't think, I just reacted. It was pure terror. I just lifted my arm and I pointed. Just anywhere, far, far down the empty street. All I wanted was for her to leave. And you know what? She did. She turned and started limping off in that direction, getting smaller and smaller. The second I felt like she was far enough away, I turned and I ran. I have never run that fast in my life. I was just sprinting, my mind totally blank, just desperate to see another person, anybody, when I heard it. Her voice somehow carried on the wind from way down the street, screaming just 2 words. And that's the last thing I remember. The next thing I know, I'm kind of coming to, and my neighbor is leaning over me. He said he found me passed out cold on the sidewalk and carried me home. And it was my neighbor who finally connected the dots for me. He told me this old local story, a ghost story that's been tied to our school, Eden Hill, for years. A story about the thing I had just met.
That woman, she actually has a name, Agatha. And according to the legend, her ghost has been seen for decades, just wandering the school and the streets around it, looking for something. Or someone.
And the story behind it is just absolutely tragic. Way back in 1998, Agatha had a 10-year-old daughter who went to Eden Hill. One afternoon, the little girl was playing with her friends on school grounds when there was a terrible accident and she died. They say Agatha just broke, and now her spirit is stuck here, forever searching, just hoping she can find her little girl again.
Which, of course, brings us right back to those 2 words I heard her scream into the night. After I pointed her away from me, she screamed, "She is here." And that leaves you with one last, terrifying question. Who exactly was she talking about?